Good evening, one. Good evening, all, and welcome to your 30,000 subscribers Toon review. We have hit a golden moment on the channel. Absolutely incredible. And that's all down to you guys out there. Thank you so much for all your support. It means the world to us. And listen, we're just going to get bigger. We will keep doing what we're doing and hopefully just keep on the thousands more will eventually find this channel. We've got some great stuff coming up for you. We've got new ideas which will be coming up in the future as well. So we've got a lot for you guys. But thank you so much from everybody associated with the Toon Review. We are absolutely dumbfounded. I mean, the last few weeks have been incredible for subscribers. I mean, we've just... It just grows and grows, and that's all down to you guys out there. So thank you so much from everybody at the Toon Review. We really do appreciate it. And it's on to 40 and 50 and 60 and 70. I want that YouTube plaque. That's the next goal. I think it's 100,000. That isn't it? That's a long way off. You know, just 70,000 more, guys. We're close. We're not far away. But as usual, please do give it the thumbs up if you enjoyed tonight's show. And of course, if you are new, like so many people have done recently, please do hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell as well, which will let you know when we upload or schedule live shows. Become a member, support the channel that way by hitting that join button just underneath the four of us. And of course, as Chippers has just done, you can donate to the show if you do want to do it that way via Super Chat, the $ at the bottom of the live comments, and that will also guarantee your comment to be read out live on the show. Chippers, thank you for your Super Chat. He says, congrats on the 30K. Anyone see Mr. Gallant with Amanda and me, Dad, in Monaco? I didn't, mate. I didn't. Unless he's trying some cryptocurrency stuff. Anyway... It's back as a foursome tonight, despite rumours going around at around 8 o'clock last night, 7 o'clock last night, that everyone had departed because I started the show on my own. Alex was having a night with his wife. Billy was just, well, sleeping, as he normally does. And Sam, well, I mean, do you want to inform the viewers of why you've been absent for a few days, Sam, or do you want to just keep that quiet?
I may have had concussion. I hit my head. These things happen often. I hit my head off an oak dining table and then off the floor when I hit it and blacked out. And I'm fine now. And you know, the viewers are bound to ask, Sam, how that actually came about. And you were gonna...
You may, well, if I put it this way, Sam, you may not see Sam on screen with big wine glasses or anything like that for the foreseeable future. Am I right, Sam?
Well, we have hit 30,000. It might be rude not to.
Well, of course. I mean, the 30,000 party, of course. No, right. It's good to see you back to health. In all seriousness, Sam, it was a nasty accident, and at least you're on the road to recovery now. A few bumps and bruises, but at least you know, it could have been a lot worse, really, banging your head. But you know. It'll not make you any crazier than you already are, to be fair, but there you go. At least you're back to fighting fitness. That's all that counts. Another super chat from Up the A1. Fantastic news on hitting 30,000. You deserve this. Best channel on YouTube and not just for footy. Love you all. That's from Mrs. Up the A1. So thank you very, very much for that. Right, now tonight is all about, well, particularly Leeds United. That's the team that we're really going to focus on because obviously Leeds didn't get promoted to the Premier League. Southampton beat them in the playoff final, of course, on Sunday, which now means that Leeds United, due to financial, well, difficulties, they have to clear the wage budget now. They have no option. They give it a go this year to come back up, but now they're not coming back up. They've got to sell. And we've called it Alex calls it a fire sale, like you would on Boxing Day when you get the queues of people outside in Next and things like that. It's 5 o'clock in the morning at Boxing Day. Hopefully, Newcastle United are going to be in there looking at some sort of Leeds players. But we're going to take a look at some which might be on the radar. Another super chat from JT Toon. Thank you very much. Well done on hitting the 30K subs. Well deserved and always good crack. On to the next one. Thank you, mate. Now, obviously, Sam, Leeds didn't come up. You know, the game, obviously, Adam Armstrong scored the goal. And it looks like Ryan Fraser may end up going there on a permanent deal as well. So for Newcastle, not particularly a bad result.
No, none at all. And I think it really could be a fire sale. We can't be naive enough to think that other clubs are gonna get stuck in there as well. But I think it's a great opportunity to strengthen the lower half of the squad. I know that a lot of people will be jumping in, let's get some marquee signings, and I'm sure that will come as well. But
Yeah.
we really need depth. We've seen it last season for sure, and I think this is a golden opportunity for it. They've got some really fantastic players who are really athletic, who I'm sure could have some great mentoring under some of our really quality players and under Eddie himself. Great stuff.
And of course, Alex, we look at Leeds United and think, they don't want to get into the situation that they were in a few years back where it all went seriously pear-shaped for them because of the amount of money that they spent on players, etc. And of course, they were relegated they went into League One, didn't they? So it's important that they do things right over the summer, which could allow the Premier League clubs to nip in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing in the Championship. It's one of those things where trying to spend to come up, if it doesn't work, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Villa managed to get up, and now look where they are. But it's a case of trying to actually get through those. It's like a reverse trapdoor, isn't it? It's horrible because if you put a lot of money into it and you can't get up, it's really bad financially for the club. You then have to sell a few, and then you possibly go sort of mid-table-y. If it goes a bit more wrong, there's concerns that people get relegated down into League One. That's why you do see a lot of double relegations, especially with financial issues. That's why parachute payments exist. I think they're strong enough anyway. They've got a reasonably decent squad.
Yeah.
They conceded 43 goals in the Championship, which I believe is the second best defensive record. And there's not, just by names, they're not fantastic when you read them out. I mean, I think that does them a disservice. A lot of us haven't watched too much of Leeds this year, and scored 81 goals, which is also great. So if you sort of tone those two down, they're still going to be fairly strong. They might be able to retain a few.
Yeah.
But financially, it is looking a bit dodgy. I mean, a few people have mentioned a few numbers in the chat, but it does look like they have got to raise quite a lot of money. So
it's always a blow, Billy, isn't it? When you're putting all your eggs in one basket to get up the next season again, straight back to the Premier League. Leeds have got some really talented players at that football club who are on decent wages. Some of them would still be on Premier League wages last season, of course, and now they've got they really have to slash their costs. And I mean, Anthony's saying they're not sure we'll get anyone from Leeds, maybe promoted or lower table clubs. Well, Anthony, it's going to be very difficult for Leeds, and that's why Newcastle should be looking at someone at Leeds, Billy, at least a couple.
Well, Leeds, Leicester and Southampton all kind of kept a big kind of core of their Premier League squad when it went down, and they took a gamble on them, three of them getting promoted straight away. And Ipswich Town have spoiled the party for Leeds, haven't they? I mean, Leeds would have expected to come straight back up. I think they finished third and didn't get promoted. Yeah, there's some good players in that Leeds side, as there would have been in the Southampton side had Leeds beat them. So, yeah, they're right for the picking. They are in debt, and they do need to sell this season. Because of FFP rules, and Leeds don't want to be kind of foul of that. As you said before, they've been in deep financial trouble in the past 20 years on more than one occasion, and I don't think they want to go down that route again.
Well, there's talk of Leicester City, who obviously have been promoted, possibly starting the season with a 5 to 15 point deduction. Now, I guess that's going to upset a lot of people around the football fan base. Again, going back to the situation with Manchester City, when is that all going to be sorted? Because as long as that sticks out with those 115 charges, and I know it's not related to the same thing, but if they're dealing with clubs like Leicester City and Nottingham Forest, Everton, etc., surely they've got to now take a look at at Manchester City and get this sorted. We got a super chat from Stephen Coxon. The bar needs to rise in our squad depth, more so than looking at marquee signings. DK35, thank you for yours. If Bruno did leave for 100 million, would Barella 70 million, Scalvini 70 million, and Gibbs White 50 million for right wing be good use of the money? Yes, I would say so. Yeah, but listen, Bruno's going nowhere. Let's not even go
I'm
there.
not sure we'd get Barella. I mean, we threw 60 at Tonali, and there were rumours we went for Barella first, and we got told to go fish, and that's not a million miles away from 70. So
True. Yeah.
I'm not sure he'd. I'm pretty sure he signed a new contract as well. So
what do you think of the news on Diamande, guys? Because that came out in the press this morning, and Sporting, I don't know whether they're under any sort of financial difficulties or anything like that, but apparently he's got an 80 million euro release clause, but they're willing to take 60.
It's a lot of money still, isn't it? It's a lot of
They
money.
won
for
the league.
centre-back.
But if we're going for a marquee signing or two marquee signings, well, he would be one of them, wouldn't he?
I don't know if we could afford that though. I mean,
Well,
Mark Douglas has said we're looking at 4. What were the words he used in his article? Important or
I saw that. Yeah,
I don't quite know what. I can't remember exactly what words he used today. It wasn't marquee, but it was like
something along the lines of important additions to
important. Yeah,
or
it's
something
4
like that,
important
yeah.
players.
Yeah.
So based on that, you're not looking at sort of Lewis Hall type signings. Well, maybe you are, but not included in the 4 that he's referencing. So he thinks there's going to be 4 that are probably going to have an immediate impact within the first team set up and used, whereas Hall and Livramento weren't purchased with that in mind. They were purchased with sort of developing for a year or a bit longer than that. So judging by that article, I don't know how we fit an £80 million signing in and then 3 more important ones and then some other small ones, unless Bruno's going. Like, I don't know where all this money's coming from.
Or Isaac, yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of people commenting about the Manchester United situation getting thrown out of Europe. Look, we have to wait and see on that. I mean, it's Manchester United, Sam. The chances are this thing with, of course, Nice and Manchester United with Jim Radcliffe, it'll get sorted, in my opinion. Man United will find a way to sort it and still be in Europe.
You just know it. You could put money on that. Like it's clearly going to go in their way. It's just, it would be fabulous if they didn't, though. Can you just imagine? I'm not sure how it would it work. Would it automatically fall to us? As like, have we has the Premier League been in this situation before? Like, I don't know.
I can't remember. I don't think the Premier League's been in this situation where somebody's had to come out of Europe because of ownership or anything like that. I certainly can't remember since the Premier League began.
There'll be some type of loophole that Ratface will completely exploit to get around it. It's just jammy.
I think he's got till, when's he got till Monday? He's not got long.
No, it's a very short period of time that they haven't. They've just basically, it's like they've just gone to them and said, right, you've got this amount of time, and that's it. You know, take it or leave it, pal. You know what I mean? Which I'm really pleased to have, because normally Man United would get like, oh well, you know, we'll give you a little bit of extra time to sort it out. They're not. They're not having any of it. So it's certainly one to keep an eye on, which we certainly will. Ollie says, would you take Meslier as backup keeper? No. Funny enough, we had a discussion before we came on air about Meslier. He's not somebody that we're particularly interested in. Niall says Dan James for right wing, upgrade on Miggy. I don't think he is. I think Dan James flatters to deceive at times. I really do. He's not a bad footballer, don't get me wrong, but he wouldn't be somebody that I'd be knocking on the door for. JT Toon says Summerville would be ideal from Leeds, right-sided and looks like an Eddie type of player. If he's cheap, we should take their hands off for him. Stephen says, well done, Paul. Watched you from the very start. Been a great journey. Well, thank you very much for your support, Stephen. Much appreciated. Alex, you've got some info there on some Leeds players. We may as well get stuck in now and have a look, because there is a few that would sort of, you know, raise the eyebrows. And I've seen a few people, well, not a few, actually, just one or two, saying in the comments there, let's leave Leeds United alone. There's nobody at that club that would be beneficial to Newcastle. And I kind of disagree with that. I think there's some very good players at Leeds United.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's a lot of comments coming through, and there always is when we do shows like this, about not recruiting from the Championship, not recruiting from certain leagues. We need to recruit from elsewhere, or we need to raise our bar, higher standards, this and the other. And it's just nonsense, because there are examples all over the top teams of players that have been recruited from the Championship or from lesser quality leagues. it's about talent spotting. It's about decent recruitment. It really is irrelevant. What league they're in to a level is mostly irrelevant as long as it's strong enough, a decent enough metric. Obviously, if you pull in somebody out of the 7th tier of Estonia or something, it depends. It's difficult, but generally around Europe, the leagues are of good enough quality where you can see kind of their technical ability, whether they're going to have a high technical ceiling, what their pace is like, what their attitude is like. And you can kind of see whether they would be a reasonable fit. You scout them for several games. It doesn't matter who they play for. They could play for a League One side. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, a lot of chat on Archie Gray. A lot of fans mentioning him, but not sure. I mean, Luke says there, but I think he'd be the most difficult to get given his family history with the club. But if we sell him a long-term plan, is it possible? Would you like to explain to the viewers, anybody, what that issue is with the club, the history?
Well, his great grandfather believes Eddie Gray, and his great uncle's Frank Gray. Frank Gray he was a left back, left Leeds for Forest, took Frank Clark's place. In fact, Eddie Gray played in the great Leeds side of the 70s and late 60s. Probably the most cultured players in that dirty Leeds side, it's ever known as. That's my words.
I would just like to state that it's nothing to do with the ex-Sunderland player Michael Gray. Nothing
but it is something to do with the ex-Sunderland player Andy Gray. Yes,
indeed. There's a lot of Grays, but Sue says Archie Gray is okay, but I prefer Leif Davies. Well,
different positions, mate.
Yeah, we featured him a lot. Why isn't anyone else concerned about Spurs? 777 in a £600 million Ponzi scheme. Court case. Standard Liège only achieved 10th place. All I can hear are warning bells. Am I overreacting? Well, Fubar, join us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We have a full show on Mr. Spurs. So it's a show on Spurs and Newcastle United news again. So we'll bring you up to date with all the news, but we will be covering him tomorrow. So you'll get your say definitely tomorrow night. According to Kieran Maguire on TalkSport this morning, Leeds won't have any cash flow issues next season. He said if they fail to get promoted next year, that's when the troubles kick in. I'm not so sure. I'm not. Look, I think you'll find a few players. Some of the Leeds players, let's be honest, Sam, some of the Leeds players will want to leave because they won't want another year in the Championship. So there will be some unhappy players who want to move on.
100%. And then they'll have to do a rebuild. They'll have to, again, scout players from lower leagues to get them in, to attract, the probably reason that they've done so well with the players that we're going to be looking at shortly is because they're really exciting to watch. And if we're looking at them, that means that other clubs are going to be looking at them as well in the Premier League. So I think they're going to have a hard time to keep maintaining and really make a push on and kick on for next season.
Interesting. I mean, what do you reckon, Billy? I mean, do you think, the players that we're going to touch on tonight, when Alex, he's going to bring the team up, and some of those players, I believe will want to move on. I don't think they'll want to stay in the Championship another season.
Well, some that's already went out last season because they didn't want to play Championship football, like Sinisterra, people like that. Maybe Tyler Adams, was he another one, or was he sold? But there's one or two of them definitely moved on.
Did
on
loan.
Did we go on loan?
I'm not sure if he was on loan, actually. I'll have to check that.
I know Sinisterra was definitely on loan, wasn't he, to Bournemouth? So there's one or two others that went out on loan as well. I think Robin Koch might be one of them that went over back to Germany.
He was at Hoffenheim.
There's 4 or 5 of them that went out last season on loan, and because they didn't want to play Championship football, so they're going to have to try and get rid of them somehow. And then there's the ones that won't want to play a second season. So there are players there ripe for the picking.
Yeah. Interesting. Simon says, Italy will have 7 teams in the Champions League next season. Crazy. I thought it was a top 4 and 1 extra for performance making 5, but it's 7.
No, they don't have 7.
That's 7 Champions League giveaway.
No, because they've got 5, and then if Fiorentina win the Conference League, they get Europa. And who else is in it? I think Roma miss out. But yeah, they've got a lot. They've got a lot of teams in Europe, but it's not 7 in the Champions League.
No, it's not all in the Champions League, no. Christian says, looking forward to the Red Bull bloke coming in, as he must have a massive catalogue of young, cheap European talent.
Bournemouth bought Tyler Adams off Leeds last year for 27 mil.
Interesting. Are you back with us, Sam?
For now.
All right. Okay. Right. Do you want to bring that? We'll bring that graphic up then. There it is. So this is this the actual Leeds squad we've got there?
This is the squad sorted by highest value to lowest value.
Okay.
Just for ease, because typically the higher the value, the more likely, the better they tend to be.
See, now I'm sorry, Summerville, yes, fantastic. But what the hell is that for a first name, guys? I mean, surely they would nickname him Jimmy.
Because it's got a nice ring to it.
It's certainly easier. It's certainly easier to commentate if we just call him Jimmy.
Certainly, the Leeds fans will be singing "Don't leave me this way" if we do go in for him.
Exactly, Billy. Yes.
But in terms of the value of all of these players, I mean, they're all gettable. It just depends on if Leeds dig their heels in and demand for a ludicrous price, and if there's competition for signatures, which for a player like Summerville, I think there will be. If you look at all the average ages as well, they've got quite a low average age in their squad. They've recruited well. They're all high technical levels. They're all from decent academies. They're all decent players. Leeds, as we've already mentioned, finished third on 90 points and are very unlucky not to be going up, because they've really got more points than Southampton, who have gone up. It's just the nature of the beast in the Championship with the playoffs. These are all decent players with high technical ceilings. Summerville's 22, Rutter's 22, Messi, who we don't want him anyway, is 24. Archie Gray's only 18. Ampadu's 23 is somebody that I think a lot of people have forgotten about. Is still very useful. Let's not forget Leeds were the second best defensive team in the Championship. So some of these defensive players are obviously doing quite well. And then obviously Wilfried Gnonto, who
is Ampadu only on loan though, Alex, or is he permanently at Leeds now?
No, they bought him for I think it was only 8 million, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's I don't know if it's going to come up. Yeah, 8 million. Joined from Chelsea, about 8-ish million. His market value is now 16. And rightly so. He's had a cracking season for them. He's still only 23 years old. And most of these would be classed as homegrown, trained in country, not at club. They wouldn't have been trained in Newcastle, but they would help to a point. But Summerville, I mean, we might as well look at Summerville if you want to have a look at him first, because he's the big name that I think everybody wants to kind of look at.
It's the ages, though, isn't it? I think that's what interests us, is the fact that they've got such a young squad, and these players can. You think of them working under Eddie Howe and think, especially the likes of Summerville, it would be really exciting.
I mean, Summerville was one of the bright spots in the Premier League, wasn't it? Let's be honest. He was on their bright spots.
Yep.
Well, he's done rather well in the Championship. So he's got 19 goals and 9 assists. Obviously, do remember that it is a longer season. They play more minutes, more games. But he's done decent. He's got 16.4 XG and he's got 19 goals as a return for that. So he's marginally overperforming. Only 9 assists from 11.7 XAG, though. So he's been shortchanged on his assists. So probably evened out for goal contributions. Still only 22 years old. I've seen him play anywhere across the front line, to be fair, even though he doesn't do that anymore. Right-footed. A little bit of concern over his height. I don't know how correct this is, because FBref has been very off in recent weeks when we've been looking at players. And then I would kind of urge you to ignore the percentiles, ignore the green, because this is the Championship. So the percentiles are based on Championship versus Championship, MLS, Portuguese League, Belgian League, so it's not going to be, ignore them. That's why we can't compare him to like Miggy in these kind of graphics. It's not going to work. You're better off looking at the actual numbers, which is still really solid. 5 progressive carries per 90, a high volume of progressive passes as well. Decent passing in general. Take-ons are nice and high. 6 shot-creating actions for his teammates is really, really high as well. He has 3 shots at goal per game himself. So profiling really well. Defensive numbers are okay. And this is definitely how he plays, because it's based on 3,500 minutes of data. And he is profiling against some really well-known names. Scott Olsen's quite well-known at Club Bruges. Chucky Lozano at PSV as well. And Bakayoko, who's very, very highly sought after at PSV. So a lot of interesting players on that comparison list. And yeah, I mean, how did he do in the Prem? Anybody remember?
He was quite bright. I don't think he got many games. He kind of coming towards the end of the season, didn't he?
I thought he got quite well. Certainly from a pundit point of view, I think he got quite. He got praised a lot. He didn't. Trolls, thank you for your super chat. Summerville is a left winger. We don't need that, to be fair. Is he a left winger?
Yeah, but we didn't need the fullbacks that we bought last year when we bought them, but we bought them.
This is about squad building, remember, and obviously, I guess, Sam, the way we look at it is that, yes, he plays on the left, but you never know with Eddie. He's still young enough to sort of play in different positions.
Yeah, I think the one thing in the back of my mind though is like FFP. It's like, wanting to shop at Waitrose when really is the best we can do Tesco, and do we need a left winger? We know what a great job that Gordon does. That's sort of his prime position, even though he's versatile. But isn't that Barnes' spot? Isn't that what we've got him for? Like, I think that Barnes for me is, I think we've still got moments in development to get out of him. I think he's too much of a big investment for us to look at someone like Summerville for that type of price tag. I think we need the investment on the right wing.
Interesting. I mean, maybe. I mean, obviously, the left side is somewhere where we are packed with, well, hopefully quality. Really, I mean,
it does depend on what we do with Gordon. Are there going to be plans to move Gordon out to the side, out to the right hand side? I
thought you meant moving him out the club, Alex. Jesus Christ!
No. I meant, would they maybe consider moving Gordon out onto the right? If Wilson goes as well, we're going to need additional forward cover, not necessarily left wing, but somebody who can play in multiple positions. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. It might not matter.
I mean, I'll be so honest. I'll prefer Jorginho Rutter. He's got a lot of skill about him, and he's second on that list. He's a fantastic player.
Well, the thing is, I mean, that's not a bad shout. Newcastle may not go for a right-sided player because they could put Gordon there, and it's not beyond the realms of reality, that, to be fair, but I guess we'll see.
Well,
but Rutter's definitely a player. I mean, he's 22-year-old. He's fantastic.
Well, Rutter's someone that I know from Football Manager, and I've watched in real life many times. As I've done Hoffenheim in Football Manager saves 2 years on the trot. I don't know why. I just got an affinity for Hoffenheim in that game, and he left to go to Leeds, which was a bit of a shame. But he's got a very high technical ceiling. He's only 22 years old, and he is here. So he plays as a forward, but plays. I mean, he can play behind the striker in the 10. He can play out on the right. I mean, he's down as both-footed. And you know what I always say on these kinds of shows? When any of these websites aren't sure what foot you use, you tend to be quite a talented footballer, just technically. And he profiles the same. He's a little bit taller. He's still only 22 years old. He is massively underperformed in his goals, though. Like, somebody's cursed this bloke. There must have been a black cat walked in front of him before the start of the season, because he's got 12.3 XG and he's only scored 6 goals. So I don't know if he's closing his eyes before he's shooting, or not sure. But that's really bad. Like, I don't think I've seen a season quite that poor in terms of underperforming your XG. But he overperformed his assists by 4. So I guess it's all right.
Well, is that maybe because he's not an out striker? Like you said, maybe he plays off a forward. Maybe that is better.
I mean, Joe Willock does similar, doesn't he? So gets himself in all the right places and then puts it into row Z. You can view him as a forward or as an attacking midfielder. I mean, I guess he's a bit of both. I think I prefer him when he gets a bit more of the ball. I think he's very technically gifted. He wins a lot in the air as well. Successful take-ons is nice and high at 3 per game. Well, it's very high, to be fair. 3 shots a game as well. 4 shot creating actions. I think he's a bit more robust than Summerville will be able to play in a slightly different role. Again, we don't tend to play with a 10, so a bit weird. I mean, his profile's like Hulk there. I don't know if anybody remembers Hulk.
He's
and
still
then
playing.
Seasons to date. He is, yeah. I think he's back in Brazil. And how has he done since he joined from Hoffenheim? And I mean, he was doing very well at Hoffenheim. I mean, he broke through as a 19-year-old and scored 8 goals, 2 assists in his breakthrough season with only 13 starts, which is quite impressive. So you can see why he's got his Premier League move, and it was a Premier League move at that time, to be fair. Although, have they just been relegated? Possibly. I think they had. So I think this guy excites me more than Summerville does, but I think that might be my personal bias because I played him in a video game. So maybe not.
it's an interesting one because I mean, look, what most of these Leeds players have is youth on their side and opportunities to really improve. And what people need to look at as well is when we're looking at these kind of players, this is what Eddie and his backroom staff or any football club will do. They'll look at players like this and say, right, they are of a certain age and they have room to improve. So, Summerville is a very, very good player. So is Rutter, so is Archie Gray, Ampadu, etc. And Willie of the Gnonto there. But they've all got room for improvement, Sam. And under our coaching staff, some of them players, I think, would absolutely thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, we've talked all season about, the depth of squad that we've really craved at some point. And I think, these would be sort of prime position to sort of for us to cherry pick and for us to take them. I think we need to play carefully with what money that we have to stay within the FFP restrictions here. I'm very much a fan of allowing our star players, if you will, to perform to their strengths, and by that I mean actually playing in the positions that they want to, where they can really thrive and probably kick on and get into another gear. I think that's why sort of, getting Summerville in, I'm not too keen on, because I would prefer to see Gordon in that place. I mean, I know that like Archie Gray has been mentioned a few times in the chat as well, but I think this is the type of place that we should be looking to pick from, because they've got great records, and I think that development under the team, who knows, where we could take players like this, because their age profile is so low. They'd be great.
Yeah. Guys, I mean, there's a few people in the chat that I'd still banging on about Mitrovic. Guys, let him go. Mitrovic will not be coming back to Newcastle. If he does, I will eat my fingernails live on air. Right? There's no chance that Mitrovic is coming back to Newcastle. It's just not going to happen. Where we aim to be now, I think, is he's left the club, guys. Let's just. Like Maxi, just sail down the river.
Still a fantastic player, though. I think he'd still be fine in the Premier League. I think he'd bang in at least 15 goals.
Don't give them ammunition, Alex.
He was doing it for Fulham, so he'd definitely do it in our team.
I know that. Yeah.
Imagine him on the end of Maxi crosses.
Maxi didn't cross the ball.
Imagine him on the end of those right-footed Miggy crosses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's not the type of player we need, because we just don't cross the ball enough for a start. We just don't cross the ball. We play it into areas where not particularly, I don't think, Mitrovic's strong points, but I don't think he's on Newcastle's radar. So let's just forget him, shall we? Archie Gray, Alex, certainly one that's catching the eye. He's only 18. Foxy's mentioned his younger brother as well. Maybe go for a great double hit, and certainly for the academy as well. Tristan says, Paul, would you take Mellier's number 2? Absolutely not a chance in hell. I mean, look, Meslier, Billy, he's had his opportunities. I don't think that he's the type of keeper that we need. For me, I don't know. I just think we need a solid number 2. Meslier, for me, is a bit. He's prone to too many mistakes.
He's like a poor man's Onana, isn't he? He can do the most fantastic save you're ever going to see, and then 2 minutes later, we're letting him through his legs. So, not for me. Too many mistakes in him. Not for me. I know he's only young. But I think he was in goal for that John Joe Shelby free kick, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
It was like right next to him, and it went in. Nah, not for me.
I mean, who stands out for you the most? I mean, there's Archie Gray. So, Alex, take us through him.
So he doesn't profile as well on FBref. I think a lot of this is more, again, he's been used in several positions, kind of further up in midfield, defensive midfield, and he's been used out as a fullback on the right-hand side as well. So his data's very mixed. It's very diluted. He's had to do a lot of rough and tumble work. Only 2 assists at the moment, but again, he's only 18, so 17 at the start of this season. And if you scroll down, so this is as a midfielder. So this is him as a midfielder. So a high volume of progressive carries and successful take-ons, decent tackle numbers, and reasonably high pass completion rates as well. But then when you put him as a fullback, it changes again. High take-ons. He's played in funny positions. I think this does him a little bit dirty. You can definitely see he's got a super high technical level when you watch him visually. He's quite capable of doing sort of quick 1-2s with teammates. He can sort of shimmy around and do a bit of sambering. He's good when he's got a lot of pressure as well. He can retain the ball. He's got a bit of physicality about him.
Alex, do a bit of sambering.
Do a bit of sambering. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what, like put on the little flowery dress and do a little
he can
bit
drop
of,
the shoulder and maybe flick it a bit, and he gets round you. You know, he's good at that. He's got the technical. Technical prowess.
I have never heard that used before for a player, unless you're, of course, Brazilian, but he's not.
He said he scored no goals at the top, but I'm sure I've seen him score goals. Maybe they're within the playoffs. I don't know.
It wasn't in the league season. He's also, I think, scored recently for England at youth level, and it was a fantastic goal as well. It was right in the side netting. It was unsavable.
He scored in the playoffs as well. Pretty sure he did.
I mean,
yeah. So this is him.
To be fair, he's played 44. Oh, look at that! He's from God's country. He's played 44 times. I mean, for an 18-year-old, that is pretty impressive, guys.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Especially in the rough and tumble championship, you know.
I have just seen something as well. Arturo's back in the chat tonight, and obviously now he's reversed his Gordon.
Oh, what a surprise!
He's impressed him finally.
I thought he was a Wolves fan anyway.
Not as much as Pedro Neto's impressed him.
I bet. Yeah, absolutely.
But what? I watched some YouTube footage on him earlier, and it was really impressive. I get that obviously there's a different standard and stuff, but even when he's like sort of got the England shirt on and stuff as well, I was really impressed by him. I think he's not afraid to put a tackle in. I think he's really exciting to watch. He looks like one of those players where everybody would be out of the seat as soon as he's on the ball. So, and I think because of his age profile, local lad, I think there's a great deal that we could do to develop him at Newcastle. I think we might be in with a shot for him.
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, if we did bring Archie Gray in, you know, you look to the Newcastle squad at the moment, you know, it's got him down as a centre midfielder there. I mean, in reality, how many games would he get next season? Or would it be that he'll give us that freedom to maybe, you know, rest a few players in cup games and stuff like that, because we'll still have a lot of quality.
He's versatile as well, though, isn't he? He can play midfield, right back. He played right back in the playoff final, strangely enough, up against Ryan Fraser, even more strangely enough. And to be fair, Ryan Fraser did a good job on him, if I'm perfectly honest.
This is one of those signings where I would buy him and loan him straight back to Leeds.
Yeah, definitely.
Good point. Yeah.
Because it's not about... obviously, a lot of people are thinking about transfers that are going to help us next season, but we've also got to be looking at squad building, like you said, and the squad over the next 3 years, 5 years. You've got to look at resale. You've got to look at the future. Look at the position where we're in now, where we're looking down at a list of Hayden, Hendrick, Fraser, Lewis, and we just can't get rid of these people. We're basically giving away for free because we can't get rid of players. We can't be in that predicament ever again. If we want to be the size of club that we want to be, we have to be a lot smarter with our finances and with our recruitment. And players like this, we need to make sure we hit far more than we miss. We don't have the luxury of the spare finances that Manchester United have got. They spend 80 million. It doesn't work. It doesn't matter. They go again. We can't do that. If we do that for 1 or 2 seasons and we miss too many transfers, it's over. The dream is gone. Like we'd be too far gone in terms of financial fair play. So we have to recruit well enough that we can resell players or we can make it work. So everybody has to have either sell on value or enough quality to try and break into that first team, or both. Like there has to be a look at the bigger picture when we're recruiting. And I think a lot of these players we're looking at from Leeds tick that criteria. I think there's 3 or 4 of them that have definitely got the ability to break into our squad. They might not, but they look like they could. And then if they don't, well, there's reasonable sell on there, isn't there? So we're not going to lose on them.
Yeah. The one for me is obviously Wilfried Gnonto. Willie Gnonto. Yeah. The only worry I've got about him is he consistent enough? You know, because certainly when we've seen him in the past, I think he's definitely flattered. But then on other games he goes missing. But is that just because of his age and that he's still got
called Wilfried? He's called Wilfried.
Yeah, but it's known as Wilfried, Alex. You don't call him Wilfried.
I am now. Actually, his name's Degnand.
Degnand Wilfried Gnonto. That's very Italian, isn't it? Really, Jesus Christ.
I wonder if he hangs around the Nag's Head with Rodney and Dalboy. Oh, that's Denzel, isn't it?
Jesus.
But he's capped at international level for Italy, so he's no more.
He is. Yeah.
He also had Leeds fans at the beginning of the season with big pictures of him photoshopped onto a baby that was crying because he didn't want to play in the Championship and threw his toys out the pram.
Absolutely.
So they basically, the Leeds fans hated him at the start of the season. They seem to have obviously mellowed. I mean, I don't know. I'm not spoken to a Leeds fan about him. But, it does look like, Foxy put something in the chat earlier about he's had a massively, he's kind of disappointed in this season. And I would agree. When you look at some of the data from the other players, I was expecting that from him. And it's, 8 goals, 2 assists, only 1,600 minutes. This is the kind of guy that you would expect to go and absolutely rip up the Championship. And he's not really done that. You would expect some output from him. It looks great. On paper, he profiles well. There's high defensive output. He's good at carrying the ball forwards. He's exciting. But, where's the substance?
What do you reckon, Sam?
Yeah, I think that... Did you just make a weird noise there?
Yeah, because Ryan Fraser's on that list.
Oh.
But so is Mavadidi. I'm sorry, Mavadidi and Ryan Fraser should not be on any list, on any of the same lists. That's ridiculous.
Do you know what? For me, I think attitude speaks volumes, and I don't care how many minutes he's played, and stats go a long way to tell you the quality of someone, but it's actually what you see in headlines and hear from fans, which tells you somebody's attitude. So if he doesn't want to play in the Championship, for me, you want to be fighting for the badge, fighting for the club. And I just can't get on board. And I don't think Eddie would want anybody like that around the club either, who we could look to kick on and develop with. No, not for me.
Got a bit of Balotelli about him, hasn't he? Sulky kind of. On his days, fantastic, but very sulky.
Well, is that not just because he's Italian?
Possibly.
Well,
I don't think it matters. You should want to galvanise your club.
Well, we have an
say,
Italian player in the squad
lads.
now. We can't say that.
Yes, I'll probably upset the whole of Italy there, but I don't know. You kind of get them, don't you? Trolls, thank you for another super chat. We need squad depth before we use FFP on maybe PLA. I think he's obviously hit
maybe
before
players.
He's finished. Yeah, maybe players.
Yeah, but you say that, but we spent money on Minter and stuff. Minter was 8 mil. So the club don't agree with you. Respectfully.
That's true.
Look, a lot of people are saying, I've been watching the comments come through, and a lot of people are saying, well, look where Leeds finished. They didn't get promoted. And you look at the players and you think, well, that's the reason. You've got to think of these players on an individual level, though. Now, that's what we're doing tonight. We're not putting them together as a team. We're putting them together as individual players, and maybe what they could actually bring to Newcastle United. You have to remember, we have a manager who is extremely good at bringing players on. Whatever you think of Eddie Howe, he is very, very good at bringing players on and improving them, right? And as far as I'm concerned, there is a couple of players there that I would definitely look at. For me, Summerville, Rutter, and possibly Archie Gray maybe are the 3 that I'd be looking at. We haven't touched on Ampadu much, but he seems to have been around for forever, and he's only 23.
Good player.
He's played mostly at centre half.
Come further down the list, because I've got the midfield players that I noticed playing for them. That was not Glenn Kamara. Jaden Anthony was at Bournemouth, wasn't he? Firpo, no thanks. Keep going. There's someone with a foreign Gruev. Now he's a good player.
Ilya Gruev.
Is that Werder Bremen? It is Werder Bremen. 6.5 mil, 24-year-old. To be fair, I've not looked at him. It's a pretty open show, guys. So we're quite happy to look at whoever pops up. If this is Billy's pick, although you're going to have to do the talking for me.
Well, he's a defensive midfielder, but he takes free kicks and all sorts. Very good at free kicks.
He looks terrifying, by the way.
Yeah, he's a meathead, but he's really good at set pieces.
So he's 24, left-footed.
Again, I love how
6'1".
technical we are on the Toon review. He's a bit of a meathead, samba dancing. You know, I mean, you don't
his
get that
contract is
quality anywhere
expiring as
else.
well. To be fair, he's got 1 year left in his contract. His wages are basically nothing to our standards. He's only 24. He's left-footed. He's the right kind of height. I mean, he played in the Bundesliga for 4 minutes last season before he joined Leeds. He's 29 appearances, so he doesn't look like he's been an ever-present. Okay. So he basically just headbutts you and then passes the ball around.
And takes set pieces, yeah.
It would appear. that genuinely looks like what he does.
You know, I mean, I can't see a player like that working at Newcastle, Billy. I don't think we need a meathead.
But he's good at free kicks. He's really good at bendy free kicks. You know,
I know that, Billy, but it's not American football. You know, when they get a kick, the specialist kicker comes on. You know what I mean?
Only just do that, does he? He solids things up.
Well, he headbutts people by the sound of things, and then just moves on.
He's a physical player.
Yeah, we don't need our 6. Whoever plays as the 6 for us doesn't have to be as technical as Bruno. The 6 can be a bit more. I mean, Peter Beautiful has put in the chat a chonk. Yeah, we can have a chonk in the 6 as long as he can pass under pressure and he can sit there and spray balls about. He doesn't have to be samba dancing. Although I'm a bit apprehensive about the lack of progressive. Well, the progressive passes are okay, I guess. We don't need somebody who just passes it sideways. It's fine having a metronome, but you also need to be able to spot a pass. I haven't seen this guy enough to comment on him at all. And I've not even been... Whenever I've seen him, I haven't been focusing on him. So, I mean, he's profiling okay. I'd probably give this a hard pass, though.
Keep going. Who's you connected with? Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones.
I mean, you've got MLS people there, to be fair. So
Hannibal Lecter.
Dracula. Yeah, there's a few kicking in there. We got a super chat from Andy C83. Great show on tonight, team. Thank you. Patiently waiting for a Billyism. All fart and no shit is still the greatest line ever. We've also got a super chat from FX Pro saying Paul of the Leeds players. It's too late, really. We've only got 10 minutes left of the show. I
mean, Jade Nancy was quite well regarded at Bournemouth, wasn't he? Last season, or season 4 last, I should say.
It's Dan James I don't get the fascination with, because I think he's just... The times I've seen Dan James play, I mean, I've seen him at Fulham. I've seen him at Leeds now. Where else was he? Man United. He just doesn't do it for me. He's not the type of player that I think would work for Newcastle. I just think he's very small. He's just not for me.
He's a super sub for Leeds now. He comes on with like 20 minutes to go when they're knackered and
yeah. But if you're a super sub for Leeds, people, then
this is it.
Yeah, nah.
I'm not a fan.
Sam, what do you reckon?
No, not for me. I think there needs to be some type of balance, because I too am desperate to see those big signings that we're going to get through the door. I am all for strengthening the lower end of the squad so we have rotation, so we can be in more competitions, so we can kick on, rest players, all of that lovely stuff. But there needs to be the line in the sand for the low that we are willing to stoop to, and that is beyond it for me. It's a hard pass.
Yeah, Dan James for me is the Welsh Miggy, right? He's got a lot of pace, and that's it. But he
amateur, isn't he?
Yeah, just really good pace. He gets past people, but there's not much of a finishing product there for me, and that's probably why he's used as an impact sub now at Leeds. But Ampadu, Alex, this guy, his wages, look at his wages, they're next to nothing.
Well, he's another player that was born in England but plays for Wales. But
contract neither here nor there as well, so it'd be free.
I didn't realise that. I mean, he's not on loan, is he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they did pay for him. So I don't know if there's been an extension. Again, I haven't looked at everybody. His wages are low, likely to be. I mean, I'm not 100% sure if he is out of contract. This is saying he is. He's played at centre-half. So for everybody complaining about statistics, he's played as a centre-half for most of this season. He's not played in midfield. And to be fair, they've got the second best defensive record in the Championship, which is great. 43 goals out of a 46-game season is ridiculous, by the way. That's less than a goal a game, which is fantastic. He's basically been ever-present as well. He's still only 23 years old. And the fact that he can play in defensive midfield, he's got Premier League experience. He played in Italy. I'm pretty sure he played for Spezia as well. He's got defensive ability there. He's good at passing. He's got a high technical level. When you play him at centre, when you change that to centre half as well, he profiles very, very well. Of course, ignore the percentiles though. I don't think this is a terrible shout. Maybe not the best for us. We are kind of light in that kind of area, though. He would be reasonable cover.
I mean, he's really well experienced as well. I mean, he's been in Serie A. He's played in the Bundesliga, albeit, he didn't start any games. But
Venezia as well.
He's got
he's got
experience. And he's still
buckets of
23.
experience. I don't know. I wouldn't be overly against this, to be honest. With a manager like Hal being able to progress him, the problem is I think he probably wants to play first team football, and he wouldn't get it with us. He would come in as a hard third or fourth choice for somebody to be progressed. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys take over because my dog has decided that she doesn't like Ethan Ampadu.
I agree with the dog.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
no, not for you, Sam. No,
absolutely not. I think somebody who comes on as an impact sub, with all due respect for Leeds, isn't somebody that Newcastle United, this project that's gonna hustle on like a juggernaut, needs. And I get like what a lovely cost. That looks really enticing given the financial fair play rules. But I just, God, we can do better. Let's have some self-worth with this.
It's not about doing better now. No. It's about we can still do better. We can still have 3 or 4 much bigger signings than this. We're allowed to have lesser signings as well to flesh out the squad. They don't all have to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying tonight that we're going to raid Leeds and bring in about 5 Leeds players and they'll be our signings for the season. I mean, we've got to build a squad.
I've got a good analogy for you. Think about Anthony Gordon as a signing, but kind of trim that back a few layers. Like somebody that's
not an
young.
Onion.
Well, trim him back a few layers. Look at the potential, the skill ceiling, the technical ability, the attitude. Can they be developed? We didn't think that Gordon had come straight in, and look what he's done this year. I mean, if you'd have said last year when we signed him in January, he was going to come in and get like nearly 20 goal contributions for us, everybody would have gone, nah, not a chance.
Alex, you are not comparing my Gordon, our Gordon. Surely
everybody hated him 18 months ago. Let's be honest.
Not everyone.
I would say 80%, maybe more.
99.9.
Barely against that signing, maybe more than that.
Billy will fiercely defend himself. Fiercely.
Even I wasn't 100% convinced, but we were able to say, look, he's got a high technical ability, a super high work rate. He's very young. There's definitely something that can be worked on. Is it going to work? We don't know. It definitely works. He's
Luke
incredible.
says there, imagine signing Gordon when he had just come back from loan from Port Vale.
This is it. Oh. I mean, we're not suggesting we sign these players. It's just we're looking at cheap kind of backups, really, aren't we?
Well, if Sam has the checkbook, then nobody from Leeds is coming to the football club. Do you have a bit of a hatred of Leeds United by any chance, Sam?
I really don't.
No,
I really don't. I quite like the look of Archie. I think Summerville looks like a really great talent. I just personally don't think that we need a left winger for that when we've got Gordon, who I think we should be letting him play there in his preferred position. We've got Barnes, but he's fantastically capable. I thought they both looked really, really great. I just don't want to cherry pick anybody who's maybe too below that realm of possibility when they're going to sort of, how long is it going to take to get them there? We know how long Eddie takes to train, coach, trust players and get them to that developmental point where he thinks they can even sit on the bench. How long is it going to take him to develop somebody like that? I'm just thinking, for me, I would rather smartly invest the money elsewhere in somebody who's got a little bit more at the same stage.
I think a lot of people in the chat need to remember just Gordon, Yankuba, Minter. Look at these signings, like Minter. If I'd have said to you 2 years ago, we should, when we got loads of money through, we should go and sign a Gambian kid who's played like 2 matches in Denmark, you'd have all told me I was concussed. Like, and look at Yankuba Minte now with 10 goals, 5 assists in for Feyenoord in the Netherlands, and now everybody's saying bring him back and play him instead of Miggy. So,
are you saying my opinions because I have concussion?
No, there's a lot of people in the chat basically saying that we can't recruit. We can't just buy worldies.
Look at Andrew Robertson. Andrew Robertson at Hull went to Liverpool.
Yeah,
one of the best left backs in the world.
I'll just be clear. I am not suggesting. I know that is not what we are trying to do. It's certainly not what we suggest as a show, like many other channels do. We don't just look at those marquee players. We want to give a broad view of the possibilities, what is in the art of the possible. So I love doing stuff like this, and the stats bring a great deal. I am only suggesting that I would like somebody who's just a little bit further ahead of the game, even if we are developing the lower end of the squad. I know we need the breadth.
People are missing the point. We have to do both. Whether you like it or not, the club are going to do both.
Yeah.
And I'm going to absolutely die on this hill. We are going to recruit for now, and we're going to recruit for the future, and we're going to recruit for depth.
We have to.
Sorry,
well,
I'm not.
We've got to do that. We have to
100%.
do that. We have to do that because it's no point signing. You know, when do you ever see a team other than sort of Man City? Well, not even Man City. When do you see a team just bringing in elite players? You know, you can't. You've got to bring in other players as well to develop, and you know, for the youth setup as well. You cannot just bring in 5 or 6 elite players without considering the future. So, you know, we have to look, and just because we're looking at teams of lower down the league, I mean, isn't it a bit sort of snobby of us just to say, oh, you know, they're not good enough, or they'll not be big enough? You know, we're not them kind of fans. We're not Man United fans. You know, we have to look at youth as well, and further down the leagues. Look where Elise came from. Look where Eze came from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these type of players were plucked from the EFL. So come on, guys. I mean, it's
Reading,
not, you know, so they've come from lower teams. Jan's sent in a super chat. Get Sosa, Due, De Pepper, Pigger, O'Reilly, Mamadashvili, and Diamonde. Thanks, Billy. Only you seem to get that joke, but never mind. Minty and this will do me. I thought that was really quick for me there. Obviously, not quick enough for many people, but never mind. But I think, you know, the point of this show was just to show that there is some decent players further down the ranks, and you know, where we make marquee signings, you also have to improve the squad with players that are going to come in and develop. You're not going to get the perfect player every time. You know, most of the players that we will sign in the summer will still need development, will not be at their peak. There'll be a couple of 1 or 2 marquee signings maybe, but the rest of them, I mean, obviously Sam doesn't want anybody from Leeds because of a hatred of the place. So, you know, that's fine, but there is other EFL teams and there's other players further down the line. I just think we can't be snobby, guys. We're not that kind of fan base, surely. Surely that's not where we're at now.
What about Tinoson at Watford? Asprilla. Hell of a player.
Yeah. There is some excellent players. You know, we've spoke about Leif Davis tonight, you know, or the chat have. Look, you know, he's
broken Kieran Trippier's record for assists in the Championship.
You know, there is some real quality there, and we can't turn our noses up just to say, oh, well, you know, these aren't good enough. You know, some of them Leeds players aren't probably not good enough, as Sam and Billy and Alex have said. But at the same time, there is players down the lower leagues that, you know, deserve an opportunity because they might be good enough or they will be good enough. I just think we can't be snobby.
Okay. Can I just mention something as well? So, no fire sale at Leeds, see Kieran Maguire. Well, there definitely will be outgoings for sure because they've not come up. There's no way they're going to retain that. They've got 4 or 5 young, high technical level players with reasonable value. They will definitely sell some. So yeah, fire sale might have been pushing the boat out a little bit. Fair enough. That's
not really, because I mean, how many went out last season are coming back? So
yeah, I'd still say there's going to be quite a few outgoings. So I don't think it's poor research. I think it's quite fair because they did try and come up and they haven't. So they will sell some for sure.
Absolutely. But there you go. That is the show done and dusted for tonight, guys. Thank you for all your feedback in the chat. Thank you for your super chats, your memberships, etc. Mods, thank you very much. And obviously to Alex, Billy, and Lady Sam. Next live show is tomorrow night, where we'll be taking a look at Soares and see what kind of guy he is, what his background is. And we'll also bring you up to date with all the latest Newcastle United news. But it's quite clear from tonight's show that there is many people who hate Leeds United and don't want anything to do with them.
Not me, to an extent.
But thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll see you very soon. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.